watching planes take off just incredible. Today we're going to have a look at how we can measure angles using our protractor to help us understand just a little bit more about aerodynamics. Aerodynamics talk about 4 particular forces of an airplane: thrust, drag, weight, and lift. These are really important forces in aerodynamics. Today we're going to investigate what happens when air flows over a wing. When air particles come towards a wing, at the top you'll see a plane wing that is fairly flat. So this might be, for example, a plane that is starting to taxi. You can see that there is equal movement nearly of air across the top of the wing and below the wing. The way the wing is shaped is very important, because if you have a higher curve at the top of the wing, it will actually create a lift. The bottom picture we see has a higher angle of attack, and you can begin to see how these lines of air over the top are lifting. When we try to measure the angle of attack, we need to actually find the chord line. And the chord line is a line that's drawn from the tail of the wing, the tail end, to the leading edge of the wing. They join the front and bottom parts and then draw that line straight through. That gives us a nice straight line that makes an angle, obviously, with the flow direction. In this diagram, you can see that we have 5 degrees, 10 degrees, and 20 degrees angle of attack. The angle of attack is between the chord line and the flight path. Okay, so you can see that those angles are being made there. You can see that when the angle of attack gets too great, the air moves in an unhelpful way, and you can see these swirly areas. They're called burbles, and they start creating problems on top of the wing, and this would cause a stall of the plane, which is not what pilots want. We are going to have a look at how to measure the angle of attack for this plane. This is a good point to just quickly go over our protractor again, just to remind you that when you are measuring angles, you need to place the vertex of your angle right here at the fulcrum point. Be very, very careful, because if it's not correctly put there, it won't actually give you the correct angle. So remembering, when we are looking at the angle of attack, we are aligning this bottom line here of the protractor with the ground. So if our plane is taking off to the left, we are going to be starting here and starting to move from this side here. So it will be 0 up to 10. So this angle will be 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees. If we happen to be having the plane taking off on the right hand side, and we put our vertex here, which is the end where the ground and the chord line meet, we will then look at the ground, and we're actually going to have to use the outside numbers this time. You can see 10, 20, 30. Don't forget to make sure you're using the right side of your protractor. So we have our protractor here, and what we're going to do is use the protractor in order to find the angle of attack on our plane. So using your iPad, use the app Protractor, obviously. You can see we've got exactly the same kind of protractor as we normally would use, and the line here is going to help us work out the angle. So we'll leave it where it is at the moment, but if we bring our protractor down and we're looking not at our first plane because it hasn't got an angle of attack, we're looking at the angle of attack at the second plane. So we're going to have to line up that black bottom line to the ground, just like that. And we're going to have to have a look and make the chord line, which we remember is straight through the middle of the plane. So we're going to have to make this parallel to the bottom and hold it very carefully. Now you can see, need to move that up a little bit. If we check carefully, we have it down the bottom. Make sure you have the fulcrum right at the base and in line. And you can see that's about 14 degrees, or 13.43 degrees actually. So that's how we measure our angle of attack using our protractor. Now it's your turn. First of all, estimate the angle of attack and then use your protractor to measure to be sure. Once you've done this, check with a partner to see if they have the same answer as you, and if they don't, work out which one of you is correct.